leading chief. The other chiefs subject to the Maratha authority became the hereditary Jagirdars. They had a free hand in the management of their Jagirs, but they had to contribute military contingent to the common Maratha army. This is the provincial administration system. Next one, military administration. Next subheading is military administration. The fear of Mughals and the jealousies and intrigues of the neighbors made Marathas to concentrate their attention on the efficiency of the military system. Shivaji himself was a born leader. Even his enemies have paid a high tribute to his skill in war. He was endowed with a great capacity of organizing men and things efficiently. All ministers, except the Nyayadhish and Pandit Rao, had to participate in the war. All 8 members, except Nyayadhish and Pandit Rao, had to participate in the war. He maintained a number of forts which he entrusted to able and experienced commanders. These forts were regarded by the Marathas as their mother, for in time of war they could take shelter in them. Forts occupied an important position and were put under the charge of 3 officers of equal rank as a precaution against teachercy, and they were frequently transferred. At the time of his death, Shivaji had 240 forts under his control. Shivaji had 240 forts. Forts means total. 240 forts under his control. Shivaji army was strong and well organized. And at the time of his death, it consisted of 30 to 40,000 cavalry, 30 నుంచి 40 cavalry, 1 lakh infantry, 1 lakh infantry, a corps of 1260 elephants, 1260 elephants, besides artillery and fleet. The Borgis or cavalrymen were provided with horses and equipment by the state, while the Silandam maintained their with horses and equipment by the state, while the Silhadam maintained their own. Martha naval fleet consisted of two squadrons, each under an efficient commanders. The artillery was inefficient and depended on foreigners for its strength. The whole army was graded in rank. The whole army was graded in ranks. The hierarchy of army officials was a follow. Like Sarnobat, Panch Hajari, Jumledar, Havaldar, and Naik. Shivaji was introduced hierarchy system ranks. The one is Sarnobat, second one is Panch Hajari, third one Hajari, fourth one Jumledar, fifth one Havaldar, and sixth one Nayak. This is the army ranks during the period of Shivaji administration. The lower unit was formed by 25 troops under a Havaldar. How many members? 25. Are you listening, all of you? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Are you understand, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. The lower unit was formed by 25 troops under a Havaldar. 5 Havaldar were placed under one Jumladar. 5 Havaldars were placed under one Jumladar. 10 Jumladar under one Hajari. 10 Jumladars under one Hajari. 5 Hajaris under one Panch Hajari. Please don't confuse. 5 Hajaris under one Panch Hajaris. And the Panch Hajaris were placed under a Sarnobat. Panch Hajaldari were placed under a Sarnobat. Ordinary soldiers were paid in cash. Ordinary soldiers were paid in cash. The soldiers were recruited from all castes and creeds. Even Musalmans were admitted in the army. Please listen carefully, all of you. Even Musalmans were admitted in the Shivaji army. Soldiers were salaries and were well equipped with armies. Discipline was strictly enforced. Female slaves or dancing girls were not allowed in the camp. Shivaji? Not involving the slaves or dancing girls in the camp. And soldiers were strictly forbidden to molest the women and children of the enemy. Those who disobeyed were punished with death sentence. The officers and men lived simple and frugal lives and were very ready to bear the greatest hardships. Titles and gifts were accorded to those who show gallantry in wars. They had an advantage over Mughal armies. They could swiftly change their position and harass the enemy. They avoided open engagement and by their guerrilla tactics and sudden and surprise attack created confusion in the enemy ranks. Guerrilla means suddenly attacked. That's all. The guerrilla tactics and sudden and surprise attacks created confusion in the army ranks regarding any enmity with Marathas. V.A. Smith, he is a historian, once commanded that one may have enmity with others, but should not have enemy like that of Maharashtra's. The army stayed in the cantonment only during the rains, and for the rest of the year it was foraging in neighboring lands. Soldiers should submit war duty to the state exchequer. This is the military administration system. Next subheading, economic under Marathas or revenue administration. Economy under Marathas or revenue administration. Shivaji abolished Jagirdari system and also endowment lands attached to religious place were taken away, and in their stead cash payment was made to them. The major sources of income for the state were land revenue and taxes and customs, and Chaut and Sardesh Mukhi, and occasionally the spoil of war or war beauty. The main economic sources or income sources. First one is land revenue, second one taxes, third one customs, fourth one Chaut and Sardesh Mukhi. Shivaji paid salaries to his officers rather than giving of land grants. The land was survived and to by fifth of the produce was fixed as the share of the state. The peasants were treated generously and care was taken to promote agriculture. Shivaji, liberality and benevolence were well known to common people. Assessment of land revenue was based on measurements. Please listen carefully, all of you. Land was measured and classified according to its fertility. They are first class, second class, and third class, and wasteland, and the land under irrigation was called bagat. B-A-G-A-T, bagat. And the dry land is jirayat. Please listen carefully, all of you. Irrigation was one is bagat, second one is dry land as jirayat. The rate of assessment of tax was determined by the quality of soil. The area under crop the crops cultivated, the type of irrigation facility used. Shivaji introduced, at least in some part of his state, the system of Batai settlement. Batai total produce of the land to be equally shared by the state and the cultivators. Under this system, the cultivators was not expected to pay other taxes. Shivaji brought about changes in the position of the hereditary revenue officials called Deshmukhs. Deshmukhs. And Deshpandes, Patel, and Kulakarni by considerably reducing their power and by close supervision and strict collection of revenue from them. Deshmukhs and Deshpande or Deshpandyas, Patel, Kulakarni. By considerably reducing their power and by close supervision and strict collection of revenue from them. Like Sher Shah and Malik Amber, he endeavored to establish direct relationship between the king and the peasant proprietor by abolishing intermediaries. అంటే మధ్యవర్తులను తొలగించడం. Directly peoples to government. Instructions were given to officials that they should provide all facilities like cattle, seed, and interest-free loans to needy cultivators. They were even instructed that they should see that the cultivators bring more land under cultivators, and officers should not expect any bribe from peasant, not even steam of vegetables. Shivaji was against Watandari system. Shivaji was against Watandari system. Watan was hereditary service tenure, and the Watandar was a person who held rent-free land in line of his service. Necessarily, Shivaji continued with this medieval system as there was paucity of educated person who could transact efficiently the business of the state. He had to work with them rather than against them. But Shivaji of those who failed in the duties of their station. Okay. As the land of Maharashtra did not yield sufficient revenue, Shivaji had to look for it elsewhere, like Chaut and Sardesh Mukhi. Chaut and Sardesh Mukhi were collected not on his Swarajya but on undefined areas of land which were legally part of the Mughal Empire or the Deccan states. Shivaji deliberately plundered the property of his opponents in order to his own coffers on the one hand and weaken the adversary on the other. Chaut was collected 1/4. Chaut 1/4 of the state revenue. And Sardesh Mukhi was an additional contribution of 1 by 10th. Those lands over which the Marathas claimed hereditary rights, but which formed part of the Mughal Empire. It is to be noted that Shivaji was not the originator of this levy called Chauth. Chauth and Sardesh Mukhi were regarded as a matter of right. Sardesh Mukhi was the conventional levy of 10% imposed by the Marathas on the whole revenue of the Suba under Mughals and Deccan Sultans, and was claimed for first time in 1648. It was estimated that Sardesh Mukhi brought around 80 lakhs to 1 crore of Hans to Marathas per year. Wow. More taxes collected by the Shivaji. By these contributions, the Marathas increased their sources of income and were able to dominate the lands outside their own kingdom. People's the main occupation was agriculture. Agriculture formed major sources of livelihood of the people. The promotion of agriculture, industry, and trade during this period bears an eloquent testimony to the efforts made by the Marathas in securing sound economic basis for the newly created state of Shivaji. Wealth of the Marathas state depended on agriculture and industry. Shivaji and later Peshwas made every effort to promote the economic interest of the state by protecting and providing facilities to the agriculture and artisans. And also agriculture at the same time industries also established Shivaji in this period. Industries prospered beside individual government used to run karkhanas. The industrial production of medieval Maratha region was entirely based on handicrafts. The instruments in use were simple and cattle became the main source of power. The village artisans, as well as those who rendered domestic services were paid through land allotments or fixed shares out of each harvest from every peasant. The rural cotton carders, weavers, oilmen, smiths, carpenters, and potters generally bartered their services for payments in kind. Pottery, carpentry, and leatherwork were most important non-agriculture village industries. However, in urban areas, the artisans generally sold their finished products for cash in the market. For state consumption, karkhanas or workshops were maintained by kings and nobles who perhaps imposed still greater discipline and supervision on artisans. Next, trade and commerce. Internal and external trade went briskly. Maratha's kingdom had flourishing trading centers like Chaul, Dabol, Kalyan, Bhiwandi, Rajpur, Vengurla that were frequently referred to prosperous commercial and industrial centers in medieval period. Thus, both internal and external trade flourished from these posts during Maratha period. Chaul was a great market for all Dakkan commodities and was famous for silk industry. Dabol was affluent and populous port in western India with full of fine buildings. East India Company servants William Chaplin reported that the Marathas lived over 50 types of levies on goods brought or sold or in transit. Textiles, salt, pepper, peter, sugar, pepper, indigo, and food grains were chief articles of export to Europe and West Asia. In return, amber, ebony, and ivory from Red Sea region, India, especially Marathas, received mainly Arabians and Yemen horses, corals, tin, gold, silver, and luxuries for nobility. It is said that the Europeans merchants of Venice, Geneva, and Lisbon acted as intermediaries for traffic in the precious goods that found their way to Europe through the Levantine and Egyptian ports, or by the new way opened through the Cape of Good Hope. Wealthy merchant classes was little well organized who carried important and export trade. Exports and foreign merchants were encouraged by levying less custom duties. Though economic activities went on, its fruit were limited only to the higher strata of society. The farmers, workers, and other lower economic classes who worked re- reeled under poverty mostly in this semi-arid region. This is the trade and commerce. Next, judicial administration system. Shivaji judicial administration. Next subheading judicial administration. Shivaji judicial administration was based on justice and fair play and followed primitive methods of imparting justice. One basic principles of justice was that no distinction was to be made between the high or the low, or a person belongs to one religion or the other. The panchayats imparted justice at the village level. At the center, Nyayadish appointed by the emperor dealt with both civil and military cases. In deciding cases and delivering judgment, ancient Hindus' law were always consulted. Shivaji fought successfully against the Mughal Empire. Shivaji fought successfully against the Mughal Empire, which was then at the highest of its glory. His supreme achievement was that he infused a strong spirit of Hinduism and made them a united nations. Various formerly they were scattered and united into groups. Above all, Shivaji was the great political and a shared leader. He was the glory of the Marathas and the terror of the Mughal Empire. He proved a sources of inspiration to his successors. Shivaji real greatness lay in his character and practical ability, said that J.N. Sarkar. This is the Shivaji administration system. First, ఏంటమ్మా first central administration. Second one, Ashtapradhans, provincial administration, and military administration, revenue administration. Last one is judicial administration system. This is the Shivaji administration system. This is the very, very important chapter.
Fifth one what?
What?
Fifth one, what is it, sir?
Fifth one, revenue administration.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
First one is first introduction. Second one, administration system of Shivaji. One is Ashtapradhans. Second one, provincial administration. Are you right, board?
Yes, sir.
Okay. One is Shivaji administration. Topic is one is first point introduction. Introduction. Second one, administration system. Administration system of Shivaji. Ashtapradhans. ఫస్ట్ వన్ దీంట్లో మళ్ళీ అష్టప్రధాన్స్ ఫోర్త్ వన్ ప్రావిన్షియల్ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్ ఓకే నెక్స్ట్ వన్ మిలిటరీ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్ ఫిఫ్త్ పాయింట్ మిలిటరీ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్ సిక్స్త్ వన్ రెవెన్యూ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్ సెవెంత్ వన్ judicial administration, last one conclusion. This is the main important question and chapter also. How to give the question? Describe the silent features of Shivaji administration system. Okay, all of you understand? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Today class is completed, but tomorrow I will take in the another class. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, welcome.